Yeah, I mean, it is the same drum that I'm beating because I still believe in introducing a fair and equitable rent system on a very clear understanding of each tenant's ability to pay. And this isn't about the tenants that are on benefits, because I know in the budget, almost certainly the benefit, their benefits will increase to match up with the 1.9% being proposed from April 2020. I'm not too bothered about the 4% of tenants that could potentially pay these increases. It's the ones in the middle. I genuinely believe the Minister for the Department of Infrastructure does not have a clear understanding of their ability to pay these increases year on year.
What would be an equitable system?
An equitable system will be a one based on financial knowledge, that having a clear understanding of the amount of income, household income, if you need be, of that household income's ability to pay those increases year on year.
Government has that figure, though, doesn't it, for each house?
You would think
easy
they'd
to work
have it.
out, wouldn't it?
You would feel they'd have it, but I don't believe the Minister has that data when he's using an average of CPI increase year on year. I want to be very clear that I'm not against applying a rental increase year on year, because housing costs, do increase over time. But what I do need to understand, and I think the Minister and his department has to get a grip of this, is having that financial knowledge for each tenant in order to ensure they can pay these increases, because we can never lose sight of the fact what is the purpose for social housing on the island, and that is for low-income families, low-income individuals, or people who have a particular need, and that needs to be fed into social housing to be given that provision.
In a letter you've sent to the Minister, you've also accused him of misleading the public and the media over this £6 million figure for a deficiency.
I think he's been very disingenuous with keep putting that figure into the public domain, and I'm very disappointed that his department continually put in a figure of £6 million. He says that the figure is going to be £6 million, and that is to cover the cost for housing, for them to make a provision for housing. That figure is absolutely 100% incorrect, and I'll explain very clearly why that's incorrect. If we take some of the data and the questions that I asked from January last year, the Minister made it very clear that if we'll take one deficiency year, he said there was an estimate of £6.2 million deficiency for the financial year ending 2019/20. Now, that's fair enough. I get that. But then we have to take into the additional information. We know from written information from the Minister that his department is making around £5.3 million of rental income. We then have to subtract the actual cost for running that housing, which is absolutely fine. But based on the Minister's own information, in 2016-17, the department made a surplus of £3.9 million, and the department made a surplus of £3.5 million in 2017-18. So the Minister also said in Tynwald, in a written answer I asked in Tynwald, he clearly said that those costs were offset against the surplus amount. So if you subtract one against the other, I think if you go back a couple of years, the actual deficiency made by the department to local authorities was less than £400,000. If you take the next financial year, it was £2.5 million. Certainly nowhere near the £6 million that the Minister and his department is continually putting into the public domain, which is not just misleading to the general public, but also to the media and also to the tenants that are actually struggling to find this extra cost every year. I understand that we have to lower that deficiency amount.
It's not just this Minister, is it? Because this is going back historically within the Department for Infrastructure.
Absolutely. I absolutely picked the previous Minister up, Phil Gorn, on the same topic. I don't understand why the department needs to actually keep hammering a figure of £6 million, or even more. I think the figure originally, going back a few years, was £8 million. These are investment in our housing stock. I think we all accept that we have to invest in social housing. We need new estates, and we've got some brilliant examples of that in Douglas, Castletown, Ballasalla and Ramsey, and we will need further investing in our housing stock, existing housing stock. I get that. I understand the government has a duty to invest in this, but let's be absolutely factually correct with the data. Let's not try and say that tenants are not paying their way. They are paying, and we've got to be mindful as well that a social housing tenant pays for life. They don't stop paying at at 55 or 65 when the mortgage finishes. They pay for life. And yes, they do pay a lower amount. But again, the reason they pay a lower amount is because this housing stock is meant for low-income families or individuals with special needs that can only be catered through social housing.